Welcome to another episode of Adirondack Fun with Food. Tonight I'm going to combine two of my favorites, food and science fiction, specifically Star Trek. And I'm going to base my culinary invention tonight on a particular creature featured in one episode of Star Trek called The Devil in the Dark, which is an episode that premiered on March 9th, 1967. It was Season 1, Episode 25. The basic premise of the story was the Enterprise arrives at the Pergium mining colony on planet Janus 6 to help the colony deal with an unknown creature that has killed over 50 members and destroyed equipment along with it by using a strong corrosive substance. So my first thought was, this is going to be spicy. After they encounter the creature, they see it, and it looks like molten rock. So we're going to try to replicate that a little bit too. It's called a Horta. It's a species that is very protective of its unborn young and is basically protecting its unhatched egglings from destruction from the miners. So with that in mind, I thought this is a good opportunity to make a pretty interesting twist on a meatloaf. I'll give a nod out to Cappy Caproot, who said something about, why don't you make a meatloaf with a twist? Well, here we go. This is what we're going to do. So, all my meatloafs basically start with meat, obviously. So I've got about 4 pounds of hamburger here. And I always add to that an egg. And yeah, this is one of those really expensive eggs too. I like to use a couple slices of bread that have been broken up. You can use breadcrumb, but I like the bread slices instead. I always add a little bit of milk, and then season it up with some salt and pepper. A little bit of garlic and a little bit of onion. And then to that, to give this a little more spice, we're going to add some dinosaur barbecue sauce instead of chili. Well, the common one would be to use chili sauce, but we're going to use a little dinosaur barbecue. All right, now there's no other way to do this than just get in here and mix this all around. Making meatloaf is a lot like making meatballs. You don't want to overwork it, but you want to get it nicely mixed. And all of the ingredients incorporated. The egg acts as a binder to help hold things together. The bread also kind of acts as a binder. Plus it soaks up some of those good flavors, and you get those little nuggets of flavor within the meatloaf. So it should be pretty good. All right. So that is now mixed up pretty consistently. Now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to transfer this to a bowl, because if I'm going to shape this into the shape of a Horta, I've got to have it in a bowl. So we will be right back, get rid of this, wash my hands, and go on to the next step. Alright, we'll set our meatloaf off to the side for a minute. Now we're going to have, this is going to be kind of a stuffed meatloaf. And again, because this thing was a spicy animal that excreted corrosive liquid, which is what helped it burrow through the caverns of this planet, we are going to stuff this with some peppers. So I've got 2 jalapenos that I'll core out. I've got 2 serranos, and I've got 1 habanero. Cut the stems off of those. Now I've got my clever little pepper cleaning tool here, which if you do anything with a lot of jalapenos, this thing is kind of nice. Just kind of get in there and twist, and it will cut those seed pod pretty much right out of there. kind of pull this out. Except it wants to be difficult this time. Well, we'll get it with a knife. There we go. All right, so that one's cleaned out. We'll do the other one. Now this creature laid eggs, and those eggs were large silicon, there, that worked perfect, that took the core right out. Large silicon nodules. So what we're going to do is we're going to stuff our jalapenos with mozzarella pearls. And those are going to be our silicon nodules. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Forgot one thing. We are going to take our silicone nodules, and we'll throw a few of them in here. And we're going to give these a little coating. We're going to give these a little onion and a little garlic and a little paprika. Just kind of give those a toss around. All right, now we're going to stuff our jalapenos with these mozzarella pearls. Just like that. Okay, there's one. There's two. And then we're going to do the same thing with our habanero. Clean that out real quick. And this is going to be the heart and soul of our stuffed Horta. Alright, we'll put some mozzarella pearls in there. Just like that. Okay. Now the serranos aren't really big enough to stuff. In fact, I don't even think they're big enough for me to, I can't use the core on those. So we're going to cut these in half. And I'll just peel out the centers of these. Like that. And what we'll do with these is we'll just kind of stuff a couple of mozzarella pearls inside like that, like a pea pod. Just like that. Because all this is going to get stuffed inside the meatloaf anyways. In the next step. Okay. Take our last three pearls and stuff that serrano. Alright, now we've got our peppers ready. Alright, so how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to take this meatloaf and we're going to press it down in this bowl so that it's all the way around with a nice flat spot, just like that. Alright, now I'm actually going to take and scoop out the center with my hand. Just like that. We're going to make a well. And now, in that well, we're going to put our habanero. Right? I'm going to put them just like that. We're going to put our two jalapenos. These are the organs of the Horta. And our two serranos. Stuffed with our mozzarella pearls. All right, then we'll take our glob of meat, push it right back down on top. Then we should be able to take our meatloaf, get it out of this bowl, Look at that. Now, we've just got to form it to look like the Horta, which is kind of an oblong shape. About like that. Okay. I'm going to transfer this to a baking pan. And now I'm going to pop this in the oven at 350 for, I don't know, half an hour probably. So we'll take a break. When we come back, actually, I'm going to pop it in the oven for probably about 20 minutes. I'm going to pull it out, and then we've got to put the final component on, which is a nice covering of pastry sheet that will help give it the look of the Horta skin. So we'll be back shortly and take a look at our meatloaf. All right, our Horta meatloaf is almost ready. It needs another few minutes in the oven, but I've got to get the cover ready for it and put it back in so that it can finish off. So I've got a tube of this Pillsbury crescent dough. This is the crescent dough sheet, which I'll probably never get into. If I have a nemesis in this world, it's these stupid Pillsbury tubes. Oh, look at that. First time. Got lucky. All right, now I'm going to take my sheet out. And I'm going to actually unroll it on a piece of parchment paper, because I need to be able to flip this on top of the meatloaf after I get it set. So we'll roll this out like that. And then I am going to just take my pin here and just thin it out just a hair, just a little bit. That's enough. All right, now I'm going to take my circle cutter and I'm going to cut some circles out of this, because we need to make this look like the Horta skin, which basically has a bunch of holes in it, a bunch of lacings, if you will. So I'm just going to go around and cut out a bunch of these in no particular order. There. All right, that's good. Put these right here. All right, now I'm going to move this out of the way just for a second. And pull the meatloaf out of the oven. And set it on my board here. And there's what we have so far. Now, it's not quite done. It's only about 120, 125 degrees. So it needs some more time. But I didn't want to put this dough on it too early, because then I felt the dough would get too brown. So what we'll do now is take this dough and plop it right on top of my meatloaf. Peel it off. And it's okay if this gets a little messed up, because it'll actually make a better effect when the whole thing is done. Actually, that turned out actually pretty good. Now, what I want to do, because the creature did have some amount of fringe around the base of it, so I'm just going to kind of form that into a loose, fringy looking thing here. And then, just because again it was a spicy, corrosive animal, we're going to take some more of this dinosaur barbecue sauce and a pastry brush, and just brush this dough with the barbecue sauce. Okay, a nice coating of barbecue sauce on that. And now we will go back in the oven, bring it up to temperature, and get this pastry dough nice and golden. Then we can try this out. I shall be back shortly. The Horta meatloaf is out of the oven, and I must say it looks absolutely delicious and terrifying at the same time. Now the total cook time for this project was longer than I thought. It was actually about an hour and 45 minutes, but it was a pretty big piece of meatloaf. And then the time to take it out and wrap it in the puffs in the croissant dough. So, anyways, I think the final touch will be just another little paint of dinosaur barbecue all around the crust. And then we can say that the Horta meatloaf is finished. And that puff croissant dough is nice and crispy, just like the Horta's armor. And I'd say pretty much perfect. It's getting a little chilly in here. I think we'll warm up this rock. With our phaser. While that Horta spins there, around and around. Alright. Well, you know what happens now. We've got to have the taste test. Now remember, there's some peppers buried inside this thing. We're just going to cut this thing right down the middle. And then a slice right out of it. See if we can separate this just a little bit. Get that slice out of there. Oh, look at this. Look at that cross section. Jalapenos, a piece of a habanero, so it's kind of got like the Horta guts right in the middle of it. All right, I think I'm going to give it just a little paint of glaze here of our dinosaur barbecue, and then we will give this a try. What do you think? I think it turned out great. That is good meatloaf. I'm gonna try to get a little piece with the. It's got the pepper in it, and those little mozzarella balls. They've all melted down, nice and gooey. A nice little bite of jalapeno right there. So, from this project, the Horta, from the Star Trek episode Devil in the Dark, from Adirondack Fun with Food.
Space, a final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Live long and prosper.